A former Bush administration official has come forward with a claim that's difficult to ignore. According to the New York Post, Catherine Austin Fitts says the U.S. government has secretly constructed a $21 trillion underground city. She alleges that this was funded through nearly 2 decades of unaccounted-for federal spending, money that vanished from the ledgers of the Department of Defense and the Department of Housing and Urban Development between 1998 and 2015. Fitts describes a network of over 170 underground and underwater facilities, not shelters, cities, built to house the powerful in the event of a near-extinction event. She says they're connected by high-speed transit systems, hidden beneath the surface of the United States, powered by advanced energy technologies the public has never been allowed to see. No vote, no announcement, no media coverage, just decades of quiet construction, shielded from public knowledge. If what she's saying is true, then these places already exist. The entrances are in place, the infrastructure is operational, and they aren't meant for everyone. The public was never informed. No explanation has been given. No officials have stepped forward to confirm or deny any part of it. So we have to ask the obvious questions. What do they know? What are they hiding? And what happens to the rest of us when the doors close?
Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Rule Well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Northern the gospel, broad lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says $21 trillion mystery ex-Bush official says U.S. built secret underground city for the elites. And while that's not far-fetched, that's not hard to believe. It's quite actually is in the scriptures, you know, and you can leave the rest up to your imagination, because we understand with the tensions that are going on in the world today, we understand that the elites have a place of refuge to escape the coming judgment on the planet Earth, just to be grabbed up and put headfirst in slavery. So it says deep underground military bases, which stands for DUMBS, abbreviated DUMBS. It makes a lot of sense, you know, because the reports have come out over the years. You know, certain truckers came out during the time of the pandemic and they mentioned that, you know, delivering food and pallets of food and produce to particular summits or resorts in high mountains, and basically being led by security officials to delegate certain orders and then to drop them off and, you know, somebody come and get it because it's top secret. You know, you got to have a top secret clearance in order to get in these underground facilities. Also, there was a diagram that came out maybe back in like 2018, 2019, and I did a lesson on it years ago, linking all the DUMBS or the DUMBs to these particular systems or these cave systems they were building under America. You know, like it was videos that came out and they were showing people how they were doing construction at certain Walmarts, and I don't know exactly what they were doing, but it was one Walmart that they was mentioning that they had some type of plumbing issue. And what happened was that they was building these underground trenches, and they was to link all these particular Walmarts or these underground military bases to these particular passageways, man. You know, and a lot of Walmarts were coming up closing for quote unquote plumbing issues, right? And when you think of plumbing, you think of underground piping. So it makes all the sense in the world that the elites have some type of underground Elysium. And that's what that movie Elysium was about. The elites of society escaping off Earth because there was a particular virus, or not a virus, but there was I believe like some type of pollution that people were getting sick from on Earth. So the elites built something in lower Earth orbit, which is called Leo, which is called Elysium, and they lived among that, you know, which was an artificial atmosphere, and, you know, just the best of living, and the people on Earth suffered. Same thing with the Jetsons. Also on Redacted, they came out and they mentioned how they're trying to take like a certain percentage of the atmosphere, oxygen out of the atmosphere, and they're trying to put it in these DUMBs, these deep underground military bases, because, you know, the real world is really underground, you know, and I highly believe in underground cities, underground, you know, communities, and a whole nother cities, complexes being built underground and all this other shit. That's not far-fetched, man. You know, they showed you that in Stranger Things when they was, I think Stranger Things take place in like Indiana or something like that. Hawkins, Indiana, or some shit, you know, fictional town, whatever. But they showed you one facility, it was a mall, and it had an underground base, and that shit led them all the way to Russia. You know, also they was flirting with the idea of putting luxury living apartments underground. So I can very well believe it. I mean, that's not a secret, because why else would the elites be in a place that could be grabbed up, but that people can find them? You know, but instead they would be in a disclosed and a remote location that nobody can find them, because even during the time of the Purge, like the Purge movies, they show the NFFA in the top buildings and the top mountain retreats, you know, the higher skyscrapers, secluded away from society, because ultimately, you know, they didn't want people to find them. Because the first thing what people would do, hence a purge, is go out to politicians. They go out to very quote unquote important people, officials, government leaders, judges, prosecuting attorneys. You know, you're going to go out to high profile people, because basically you're looking at them making your life the hell it is, you know? So it makes sense, right? So let's do this. I don't know what it's going to bring to, but let's say, what's underground Denver? Right. They says under Denver International Airport, DIA, there's a large network of underground tunnels primarily used for baggage handling, maintenance, and airport operations, so they say. It says these tunnels also house a train system and transport passengers between concourses and defunct automated baggage systems. Despite popular conspiracy theories, there's no evidence of secret bunkers, underground cities, or alien bases. And of course they will say that, okay, because that's Esau. He has what he called plausible deniability. So they will deny it. But reports have come out that these facilities do in fact exist. Here in Missouri alone, this is called the cave state. And they got something which is called subtropolis, right? You think of sub, that means underground. Now, when you look up metropolis, matter of fact, metropolis definition. Metropolis means the capital of chief city of a country or region. Okay, a metropolis, subtropolis. And I know that for a fact because I did a lesson down there maybe, hell, shit, back 10 years ago. Me and the brother, Amawan, like Bob, we did a lesson, in transit, and it was called Underground FEMA Camp Caves, man. Back in 2015, maybe 2016, me and the brother did like a hour-long video riding through the caves and stuff like that. And we showed you how these deep underground bases, they descend even further. So what makes you think that Esau is not hiding his weapons, you know, his bunkers, the gold, the silver? And a lot of them I would assume will be out of America, because this place is going to get pelted with missiles. So even the deepest underground bunkers won't save you. Even going into the White House, allegedly the Washington Monument, which is basically an obelisk, which is a penis, a phallic symbol. Allegedly, there's underground bunkers underneath the Egyptian obelisk, which under Washington, D.C., it makes all the sense in the world. Okay, then you got the Pentagon, which, of course, they house military operations, hidden bases, hidden nuclear weapons underground. So it makes sense that you would have a subcomplex underneath monitoring everything above, because, I mean, shit, who's really going to get underground, right? But anyway, let's go into the precept. This is the book of Isaiah 24. And it makes sense because we're going to grab the elites up. But it says here, this is the book of Isaiah 24. And I'm going to start at verses 17. It says, "Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of the earth. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit." Right. The pit goes into these military bunkers. Also, the pit goes into their captivity, which is a system, because we're going to literally put them in a pit. We're going to put them in captivity. But it says, "He that cometh up out of the midst of the pit should be taken in a snare, for the windows from on high are open and the foundations of the earth do shake." Yeah, because when those missiles hit, hey, that's going to abrupt everything. Everything is going to be moved out of its place, because the scriptures describe upon the missiles hitting a great earthquake. And on top of that, Yahweh Shai coming back to the earth, that's going to shake the foundations of the earth by itself, man, because he's coming back with great power and glory. As it tells us, he should descend from heaven with the shout of an archangel, and the dead in Yahweh shall raise first. So that's not going to be a quiet event per se, all right? It's going to be a worldwide event, a national event, and it's going to be publicized. And on top of that, the angels. And it says the earth is utterly broken down, and the earth is clean dissolved, and the earth is moved exceedingly. And the earth shall whirl to and fro like a drunkard, and should be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof should be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Yeah, because the wickedness of this world, meaning this rulership, is going to be null and void once Yahweh Shah comes back. And it says here, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high. And who is that? That's your, who you call Illuminati. Okay, that's your elites, your ones that run the government, the ones that create your laws and create the hell you've been living in for the last 400 plus years. Okay, we're talking about men who you don't hear, men of stature that you don't even know about. Okay, we're talking about the elite families, not Trumps and, you know, Bill Gates. Those are lower level luminaries. Okay, those are more like public officials, unofficially. I put it, or they're public unofficials, I say it that way, but nonetheless they have the limelight. Like, everybody knows who Bill Gates is, everybody knows who Warren Buffett is, everybody knows who Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, you know, everybody knows who Trump is, you know, etc. But when you get to mentioning the Rothschilds, that's very limited information on them. The Rockefellers, yeah, that name has been floating around, but even then there's parts of this secret society that you don't hear about. Okay, the ones that fund your institutions, your colleges, your health departments, your medical associations, they fund your militaries, they fund world wars, they fund your banking system. Hell, they own the banking cartels. You know, this is who it's talking about. But it says here that the Lord shall punish the hosts of the high ones that are on high, and the kings that are upon the earth, and they should be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in a pit, and should be shut up in the prison. And after many days, they should be visited. Yeah, because we're going to put their ass right in captivity, man. Okay? Matter of fact, look this up. This is 6. Shake terribly. Because the Lord says he's going to shake terribly the earth. Yep, bingo, this is what I'm looking for. Isaiah 2. And yep, let's start at 2. And I'm going to start at verses 17. And this also proves that they got bunkers, man. That these elites are currently, they probably, I guarantee you, beneath their estates, like you go to Switzerland and you got the Rothschild estate, I guarantee you they have underground military or deep underground bunkers underneath their compounds, man. I mean, that's without a doubt. Especially if the average person that's a millionaire, if a person like Jay-Z or Rick Ross can afford to build a $1 million bunker, a couple of $1 million bunkers to escape. And Rick Ross said it. He said, we going underground. We got wings. We got a water maker. We gonna make water. You know, if you got this simple-minded cue ball head ninja talking that type of shit that can afford a bunker, Jay-Z being a billionaire that he is can afford a $100 million bunker to escape what the hell is gonna happen, even though he won't escape, because, you know, the scriptures say that the elect and the angels, we gonna dig them out of them bunkers and shit, man. But even then, if they have some type of ark for them to go, what the hell make you think that the Rothschilds don't have some type of compound that they can go, man? You know, with particular blast doors that takes a, I mean, they literally will take the donation of a fucking atom bomb to blast inside these blast doors, man. So what make you think they don't have that type of protection? Where they're hoarding the gold, all the jewels, the rubies, they got slaves down there. You think a lot of traffic victims are not underground, man? Being trafficked in these underground suites? You know, they even showed in different parts of the world how they have underground water bunkers, man. And I ain't gonna lie, them shits are pretty dope, you know. But the elites know their time is coming, so they're hiding from the Most High. But it says, and the loftiness of men should be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men should be made low, the pride. And the Lord alone should be exalted in that day. And the idols he should utterly abolish, and they should go into the holes of the rocks. Yeah, them bases, them underground bases, them compounds. It says, and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake terribly the earth. And that's going to start at the concept of a global collapse, man. Because once this system collapsed, rioting, race wars, people burning down fucking office build, people burning down, you know, particular places of government, because they're gonna burn these cities down. Okay, these people are gonna burn down the courthouses. They're gonna burn down them tribunal courts. They're gonna burn down them IRS facilities. People are gonna burn down them child support offices. The food. Hey, people gonna literally set this place ablaze, man. And you think the elite's gonna be around for that? When people start hunting government officials, you know, lawyers, doctors, judges, you know, baby mamas, high profile officers, government agents, they time is coming. Why the hell you think they have such a heavy task force around them protecting them? And not to mention, last year, those chariots was popping over FBI agent houses, man. So they're being closely monitored. You see? So you damn sure they're hiding for, they're going for the cover. But it says here, into the caves of the earth, and for the Lord and for his glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake terribly the earth. And in that day, a man should cast his idols of silver and his gold, which they made each one for themselves to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks, because people gonna let go of their idols when they realize they have no power. And it says to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, those summits. Because like I said, one trucker, he brought it out during the time of the C-19, that they was delivering pallets and truckloads of produce to undisclosed locations in mountains, man, on the west coast some goddamn where. You know, you got the Rocky Mountains, you got the Colorado Springs, you know, you got mountains all throughout the Rockies, man. You know, so they're clearly are hiding from society because, hey, they're wanted. Okay, then the scriptures tells us in Genesis, the 4th chapter, that Cain should be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And the common concept of a fugitive is to hide himself, man. Like when you go into that movie called The Fugitive that came out in 1993 by Harrison Ford, hey, what was he doing? You know, he was pretty much hiding. He was hiding. He was going into disguises because he was on a wanted poster. And these elites, they are in hiding because they know that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and not only them, the average citizen of the planet Earth has figured them out. So they coming for that ass, man. So they gonna be at a dodge, you know. And that's for the elect. That's for us, man. You know, we gonna get them dog tags back, and we gonna get that back. Put it to you that way. The low level shit is for you niggas out here. We gonna get the big fish. Like my man Training Day, you say, yeah, we go out. You said, man, he said, you want to be hangling hagglers and shit? He said, squat all that, man. He said, we go after the big fish. So we going after the elites, man, when the Lord give us that power. Lord's willing. And it says here, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the top of the ragged rocks for the fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth, man. And that's going to come in a form, like I said, when society breaks down, when these wars start happening, World War, hell, India and Pakistan, they already, shit, both of these are heavily nuclear countries, man. Okay, so we are seeing the threat of nuclear conflict and armed conflict all around the earth. You think the elites are not retreating behind that? Of course they are, man. You know, because they understand there's a judgment coming for their ass. You know? Amos 9, and I'm going to start at verses 1. And I saw Yahweh standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, and all of them. And I will slay the last of them with the sword, and he that fleeth of them should not flee away, and he that escapeth of them should not be delivered, because hey, the Lord is going to raise us up with that power, and hey, we just going to teleport underground and get their ass, man. All right, certain brothers may make a quiet entrance, but you know, you got some brothers they're gonna put on a presentation. You know how like on those movies and shit, when they be behind those security doors and don't nothing open it up, but all of a sudden a blast come through and you see a figure with power and glory lighting up like a Super Saiyan. We gonna blast them motherfucking blast doors into oblivion. And we gonna go through there, and we gonna go through Esau's military. We gonna go through his AI army, because they even mention it during the time of the Black Awakening. They have millions, if not billions, of robot prototypes underground waiting to slaughter the men of the Lord, man. So we gonna be met with extreme adversity, but we gonna have that power. So it's gonna be a fun day, man. It's gonna be like on a video game. It's gonna be like a John Wick movie, man. We gonna be in there to slaughter them and shit. And then when we get through all them, we gonna grab the elites up, and we gonna throw them head first in captivity, and they gonna build our kingdom up. And it says, though they dig into hell, which is the ground, the bunkers, then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, because you have something which is called Mount Carmel, all right, like a summit, I will search and take them out thence, and though they be hid from my sight at the bottom of the sea, thence I will command the serpent, and he shall bite them. All right, and that's the point, man. So, hey, Leviathan, look up underground water bases. Leviathan gonna take care of that. So the Most High, he got the ground force, he got the air force, and he got the Navy platoon, man. So there's nowhere that Esau can go, because the scriptures say that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. You see? And it says, and though they go in captivity before their enemies, thence I will command the sword, and it should slay them, and I will set my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. You know? So, yeah, man, it's gonna get real graphic out here, man. You know, real soon. And the elites know this. They understand, you know, they study the scriptures. They look at us. They look at our videos, man. They know what's up. You know, and they know there's no way they can deal with the power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. This is why they're trying to destroy Jake, because they know eventually we gonna get that activation. We gonna get that cheat code. And when we get that code, ain't nothing gonna stand in the way of the man of the Lord, man. And then on top of that, what we don't get, the angels gonna get. And even alone, the Lord don't even need us. He could use the angels to do it. Okay, the angels are down there putting hell on you. It ain't enough for an angel to teleport underground and get your ass, man. So that's a fearful thing, knowing that there's nowhere that you can hide from the Heavenly Father. Okay, the scripture said that he have all the hairs on our head numbered. There's nowhere you can hide from him, man. Okay, you could be as minute as a worm, a newborn worm in the dirt, and Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai knows exactly where that particular worm conceives at, man. So what make you think that the elites can hide? It's through Revelation 6, and I'm gonna start at verses 14. And it reads, it says, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their place. That's talking about when the nukes go off, when the missiles drop. And the kings of the earth, and the great men and rich men and chief captains and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. Yeah, because they got slaves in there. Okay, them kids that you seen on a milk carton in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of them have been serving slavery and serving these elites through these child trafficking rings for the last 30, 40 years, man. Some of them don't live to tell about it. Some of them escaped, and a lot of them, they've been totally engrafted into Esau's cabal. Some of them are even part of the infrastructure now because they've been totally, they've been hijacked, you know. But there's people underground being trafficked as we speak, you know. Trust me, it's easier to move underground undetected than to go through all these checkpoints, because Esau's the devil. He sets up a counterintelligence to allegedly stop trafficking, but the same counterintelligence that he's trafficking people in is the ones that he's using to traffic the people. Like the FBI, they all the FBI. Why you think the FBI make light of child trafficking, man? You know, they make light of it. They don't even investigate it. Why? Because they know. You know, and the cops, they're told not to get involved because a lot of them are part of it. But it says here, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sitteth on the throne, and for the wrath of the Lamb, which is Yahweh Shai. For the great day of his wrath is coming. Who should be able to stand, man? Wee. So, y'all through. You through. Last precept, book of Psalms 149. And I'm going to start at verses 5. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory, and let them sing aloud upon their beds. And let the high praises of the power be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. We're going to have a literal sword, and we're going to have the word of the Most High written in us, man. It says to execute vengeance upon the heathen, because it says to execute vengeance upon the heathen, which is you starting with you Edomites first, and punishment upon the people, to bind that king with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgments written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And this is the time we getting ready to go into, man. So you goddamn right they got underground bunkers. With that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kakwadash. Lord's will, you will edify. Until the next lesson. Shalom.
Everybody has that one thing in their house that everybody thinks is so cool. Could be a hidden cabinet, little movie room, gadget, but ours is this. Everybody has that one thing